Hello and welcome back to These Blind Eyes 6580. First off, don't forget to subscribe, like, share the videos, and to check out my podcasts. Little MB is one of them. The religious one is Seeking God with Blind Eyes. Subscribe, like, and share those as well if you would. Now, I know this is a little late on this video. Well, it's not late on it. It's just late compared to when I said I was going to do it. But had a lot of weather changes here and stuff like that, where it's getting dropping down to 50 at night and then getting up in the 70s and 80s during the day, and it's just created a lot of just I think it's the pressure change or something like that when the temperature changes like that, and man, it just kills my eyes. But I said, screw it, doesn't matter, I'm doing it today anyway. I do have one light bulb burned out. Hopefully, this isn't too dark. But, you know, I've got kind of a conspiracy theory. But before I get into that, I want to talk about Rand Paul just for a minute. Now, I don't watch mainstream media. It annoys me. But every now and then I catch one or two things because my mom and dad will watch it a little bit. And so I was in there yesterday or the day before, and they had Rand Paul on. And I like a lot of what he does. You know, he'll call people out like Fauci and stuff like that. But, you know, he was talking about this bill because they were talking about Twitter and the collusion between the government and the Twitter to silence people's freedom of speech. And he said he was creating a bill that would put a stop to it. How ridiculous is this? I mean, this is something people have talked about for decades at least. And that is, you don't need new laws, you need to enforce the laws that you have. And this is one of those situations. Our freedom of speech is already covered with no collusion from the government or anything to silence people by the Bill of Rights. First Amendment. Very first amendment to our Constitution. Freedom of speech. So I find it ridiculous that he's trying to create a bill to put an end to government collusion. I mean, it's ridiculous. And don't tell me, well, it's a new era, you know, the founders didn't foresee Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and this, that, and the other. I don't care. Freedom of speech is freedom of speech, whether it's on the street corner or on social media. Collusion with the government to silence people is collusion with the government to silence people. It's a violation of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech, you don't need a new bill for that. But whatever, you know. I guess he wants the people in Kentucky to know that he's not wasting their time and money. He's doing something. Anyways, there's I say it's a new conspiracy theory because it's something I have not personally heard yet. But Bill Gates has been, I think he's just an evil man. I mean, he invests heavily in pharmaceutical companies and then starts pushing this vaccine, which more and more data comes out, shows there's just more and more side effects and health risks to taking it. I'm not going one way or the other. No, I did not take it myself. Don't care if you did. I'm just saying, look at the numbers, look at the statistics, look at the data. You know, you don't have to listen to me. There's data out there that says this stuff, and that's why I'm saying it. It's because there's data. You know, if the data was the other way around, I'd say, you know what, I was wrong. Maybe I should have got vaccinated. But either way, you got that. And then you got him buying up all this farmland and trying to push the extermination of meat, people consuming meat. And I think that was nothing but a ploy. And this is why. Because people aren't going to quit eating meat. That's not going to happen. If the government tried to pass some ignorant bill that said we're no longer to eat meat, We can have, what is it, the Impossible Burger that's fake meat made from plants and stuff that's so disgusting that it was given rats or lab mice, whatever they were using, liver damage, you know? And Bill Gates, being the fat bastard that he is, he's the last person I want giving me health advice. It's no different when I was at the gym. I had just deadlifted 545 pounds, and then some fat turd comes up to me and starts trying to tell me how to do deadlifts. And it's like, listen, jerk off, when you can do what I just did, come talk to me. Until then, get the hell away from me. And I literally said that. You know, and then a buddy of mine that's a personal trainer there came up cracking up. And he's like, I love it, you know, you just tell it how it is. And it's like, well, come on now, you know. Either way, I don't want somebody like him trying to tell me, you know. But there's a lot going on that people are not familiar with when it comes to Europe and the Ukraine in this war with Russia. European countries, I think every single one of them, has banned Monsanto's, which has been bought out by Bayer over the past 2-3 years, something like that. But Monsanto's, if you don't know, they're the ones that are facing lawsuits because of their weed killer Roundup and stuff like that. They're finding this cancer-causing chemical in almost all of our food. Almost all of it. They have genetically modified stuff. This is why our wheat in this country is so bad for us, and people have these, like, whatever, I can't recall what it's called, sorry. It's intolerance to basically wheat. And it's because when it's genetically modified, they did it to increase yield. And it's a double grain stalk of wheat. The original is a single grain. That's why if you buy 00 flour that comes out of, say, Italy or another European country, you don't have those allergies to it in the same manner that you do from ours. I'm not saying you won't have some kind of reaction to it, but from the studies they have done, people have had, it doesn't affect them the same way. And people in Europe that are eating the single grain wheat, they are not having the issues that Americans are having with bread and grains. So for one, there's this side of it where Monsanto's is banned from many European countries, if not all of them. Now, one thing you may not know about the Ukraine is that they are the largest producer of grain, wheat and corn, stuff like that, in Europe. In Europe, this war has created massive shortages of wheat and grain. Because obviously people are not farming in the middle of gunfights, missile strikes, tank battalions rolling through. It's not happening. People aren't out planting. They can't. Well, what's this have to do with Bill Gates? It's got to do with all the farmland he's bought. And you say, well, how much farmland could he buy? Well, as far as what we know, he has purchased over 220,000 acres of private farmland. That's what we know about. Kind of makes you wonder who's going to get the contract and start selling. Who's got the connections to do it? Do you think the farmer right outside of your town, that's farming a few hundred acres, do you think he's going to be getting a contract? Or, do you think he's going to see any benefits of grain getting sold to Europe to make up for the lag created by this Russian-Ukrainian war? No. They sell it to grain elevators, and then it gets dispersed from there. But somebody like Bill Gates, who has the connections, and has over 220,000 acres of farmland, something tells me if he's not already, he's going to be getting some pretty big chunks because they're going to have no choice. They are going to have no choice in Europe but to start buying their grain and wheat from us. They're going to have no choice. Their largest producer of wheat and corn is in a massive conflict right now, a massive war. They can't produce it anymore. So, granted, they're not the only farming nation within Europe. I understand that. But it's enough that it has affected food prices. And yeah, I think Bill Gates is evil enough. I mean, think about this. It's been leaked where there was a blueprint leaked of how to start this war with Russia, how to get them to attack. There was a blueprint for it leaked. So this isn't something that just happened. This is something they've been trying for. I've talked about it more on my Little MB podcast as far as like the agreements that NATO and America made with Russia when the Soviet Union collapsed in the late 80s, early 90s. And as early as 2001, if not before, we immediately started violating this agreement, these treaties. And we've been doing so and doing so. And long before this conflict started, even Putin's opponents, people who in Russia who did not like Putin, even said the Ukraine becoming part of NATO would be a red line that cannot be crossed. So, and what do? They go and start crossing it. So, there are so many things at play here that we have no idea about, but I will be highly surprised if at some point in the next 20 or 30 years, if we're still around at that point, if it doesn't come out that Bill Gates has profited significantly through his ownership of farmland and sale of wheat and corn to Europe. So it's still irritating me because I can't think of that word. It's not glucose. I'm almost positive it ain't glucose for that intolerance people have to wheat and stuff like that. But either way, that's my thoughts on it as far as my conspiracy theory. Like I said, I just think Bill Gates is an evil bastard. He really is. But either way, that's what I got for you. Sorry it took so long. You know, I spent 2 weeks cleaning my parents' house for them, deep cleaning it. And so I was busy doing that, hours a day doing it, and was tired and didn't feel like doing crap. And then, like I said, just this weather in the spring. I love spring and fall, but it's hell on my eyes, man. So sorry it took so long to get this out there. In the meantime, like I said, subscribe, like, and all that other good stuff. If you have any questions or comments, hit me up at littlemb6580 at gmail.com. Until next time, y'all take care.